Welcome, everybody, to our second episode of Hidden Killers. This is your host, Lauren Johnson. That's Lainer. And today, we'll be covering the first 4 kills of Stevenson's career: Emma Stein, a freshly 21-year-old, Anna Lee, a 28-year-old librarian, David Summers, a 42-year-old banker, and Jerry Jones, a 25-year-old electrician. I mentioned their ages because there's a distinct pattern in them. Whether Stevenson knew her victims' ages beforehand is debatable, but almost all of her female victims were in their 20s, and almost all of the males were in their 40s to late 30s. She also killed in an order. It tended to be one female at the end of the first year, one male in the middle of the year, and one female at the same time the next year. It did switch occasionally, especially early on in her career, but she tended to work in patterns. The same can be said for the methodology of her kills. She tended to like the 20s in general, and most of her kills took place between 20 to 24 in military time. In fact, her first victim, Emma Stein, was killed by Stevenson on her 21st birthday, December 31st. After getting blackout drunk at a small bar in the city. Stevenson had offered the girl a ride home, according to what we can make out from security cameras near the bar, and 2 of her friends that were present that night. And Emma was officially reported missing the next week. The search went on for about 2 months before it was dropped by police, and she was officially reported as dead. Her second kill, Anna Lee, was kidnapped by Stevenson on December 31st of the next year. She worked as a librarian at Ohio State University, the school Stevenson attended as a college student. According to cameras that were unable to identify the kidnapper as her at the time, the incident occurred at 9:22 p.m., and according to further investigation, Stevenson had snuck GHB, a common drug used to knock people out, into her drink. The figure, who we now know as Stevenson, had dragged her out of the library, which was located on the first floor of the university, and sat her in the passenger seat of her car, likely because it would be incredibly suspicious for her to have a knocked out person in her trunk had she gotten pulled over. Anna Lee and Emma Stein's corpses were both found in the same place deep into the woods on the edge of Ohio, with the same chemical burns found on their skin and on the tissue in their organs, specifically their throats. Emma, specifically, was found with her throat sliced open, likely due to a struggle between the 2 of them, while Anna didn't seem to have any external injuries, aside from a few deep bruises. This seems to be the condition most of her victims were found in, and it makes you wonder what exactly she did to the inside of them. The outside is in such pristine condition. After all, aren't serial killers known for being barbaric? It's unclear where the bodies of her victims were stored, seeing as she did live in a college dorm during this period in her life. It's speculated, mostly by me, that she had a partner in crime that helped her store the bodies, but again, that's just speculation. But you know what isn't speculation? This episode being sponsored by Flora, my favorite flower shop in the Pacific Northwest. You can always expect high-quality designs and freshness guaranteed from this place. Make sure to check out their website, florabyfauna.com. Now, to bring in our special guest, Ashley Lee. Welcome, Ashley. I'm so glad you can make it on today.
It's not a problem. I did have to prepare myself a bit before this, though. I've never really done something like this, not to mention the topic. I don't really remember much from that night anyway, so I don't know how helpful I'd be.
Any insight at all will be helpful. So, you were Anna's sister, I heard? I take it the 2 of you were fairly close, no?
Yeah, we were. We didn't really live close to each other, but we saw each other every holiday.
That means the 2 of you were going to meet the day she died? If I recall, it was late at night, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were gonna meet up once she left the library. I think she was finishing something up for their sorting system. The most I remember that night is waiting for her to call back or knock on my door or something, and she didn't. I mean, I knew she was busy, so I didn't know something had happened until our parents called with the news.
Do you know if she had any other close friends? Surely she didn't just hang out with you.
Well, I don't think so, really. Maybe a few colleagues, but she'd never really been close with anybody but except me. I wouldn't say she was like reserved or anything. She just never really clicked with anybody. Or if she did, they didn't stay close for very long.
I thought that was the case, honestly, since you were really the only one close to her. You did help in the investigation afterwards, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I wasn't very good at it, but I honestly felt really um, guilty after what happened. I figured I should have stayed there with her. Plus, I mostly just answered questions about her life. Like stuff I'm doing now. I wish it was so they could find like a motive. They showed me stuff and asked me if I could like confirm it was her and shit too.
This is so embarrassing. Sorry. You were shown the videotapes of the library while the investigation was ongoing, no? Can you reveal any details about that to us?
Yeah. The girl, Kate, her face and stuff wasn't visible. She was wearing one of those paper masks, and she had a hood up over her face. She had baggy clothes, too, so we couldn't get a read on her figure. It was kind of smart, honestly. But my sister had gone to do something in the library, and she had left her drink. I think it was coffee, actually, unattended. The girl poured some shit in there, and when she drank it afterwards, she kind of knocked out immediately.
And the girl proceeded to drag her out of the building, right?
Yeah, like full on carry. I mean, she was pretty heavy too. I think it was easier because she was like fully knocked out, is what it looked like.
I know you saw her as she was being taken, but did you see the body once it was discovered? I remember seeing a very blurred version of it in the newspaper, but
Well, I mean, I try to avoid them, but it's hard when they're like everywhere, and curiosity got the best of me. It was kind of disturbing because I cared about her a lot, and it wasn't that bad. She could have been like skinned or something. So, small mercies or whatever. It was mostly pretty tame though. She had bruises all over, but I think the evidence was mostly on her insides, which I didn't see, thank God.
small mercies, I guess. Now, on to our next segment. Every time Stevenson ended up killing a male, the timing is a lot less structured, and a lot of factors that stay consistent with her female kills vary with the males. For example, age. Her female kills, as mentioned previously, are mostly in the 20s, but her male kills range from their mid-20s to late 40s. David Summers was her third kill, and the first male she'd murdered. His body was found on June 15th, 2004, but it's speculated that he was killed at around the same time as Anna Lee, due to the state his body was in when it was found. Though the delay was either because of the separate location of his body or because it was disposed of at a later point in time. David worked as a banker, and he was 39 when Stevenson killed him. He had 2 kids and a wife, both of whom had frantically searched for him until he had been reported dead in June. He was one of the only people murdered by her that had deep, obvious connections to multiple people. Most of her victims tend to be college students that are on scholarship, living in a single dorm, etc. That kind of stuff. I assume this is so it's harder for the bodies to be identified immediately, or for them to be reported missing immediately. However, the next male she killed, Jerry Jones, which is quite an unfortunate name, was the only victim whose body was not found on a schedule, the way the others seemed to be, on October 5th, 2004. He was the youngest male she'd killed through her life, at 25 years old. He had just started working as an electrician when Stevenson used her, frankly, overused method of finding drunk people and taking them to her place. However, after the encounter, He had been seen leaving Stevenson's dorm room and returning to his apartment. He went to her place the next night and wasn't seen after that until his body was discovered in October. Generally, this kill stands out to me almost more than the first kill we covered, only because it seemed like she had actually done something with him, as opposed to simply killing him and keeping the body wherever she usually did. As it's seen, she doesn't tend to form relationships with people often, aside of her family friend that she never really talked to. I mean, I know we've only covered 5 out of the 20 people she's killed, but nobody else has had an interaction with her and came back. Perhaps she was scared, worried he'd figure out her secrets. Either way, that is all we have for today. Make sure to like and subscribe and tune in to the next episode next week, where we'll be covering Stevenson's next 4 kills. And that's when it really gets interesting.